What it do, what it do, what it do. Man, I got the bucket hat on today, y'all. When I got the bucket hat today, you know I'm either feeling goofy or you just don't know what to expect. I feel like I gotta tell you a joke. Hold on. Check this out. It's a Christian channel too, so we gotta tell a Christian joke. All right, look. Who in the Bible knew the most people? I don't know, but Abraham knew a lot. If you don't get the joke, you need to read your Bible more, respectfully. All right, let's get serious. So today I want to talk about how I stay consistent with God. I went through a lot of phases in my life as a Christian. I really started understanding who God was, who Jesus is, understanding church and all that when I was like 4 or 5 years old. I grew up in a Christian home, but I really think that now that I'm an adult, I'm 24 years old right now, I went through this process of what I call like deconstruction. It's breaking down the ideas that were implemented in me as a kid because I grew up in the family that I did, and now accepting ideas for myself as I discover things. I've deconstructed things, and now that I have a relationship with Christ for myself that I can say fully came out of me, there are certain things that I've learned in my personal relationship with Christ that I know helped me a lot to stay consistent with him. So I want to talk about a few of those things today. Number one, which I believe is the most important, is that I have to daily seek the Lord. I think a lot of times we see faith as a feeling. If we don't have the feeling of God, if we don't have the emotions that line up enough to make us want to read our Bible, to make us want to pray, then it's like we're just gonna neglect it and not do it. And 100%, there are sensations that we get by having the presence of the Holy Spirit, but that is not the end all be all of our faith. Our bodies naturally want to sin. Our bodies naturally want to lust, want to partake in drugs, want to lie. Like, it's just natural because we live in this life of sin and suffering, but we have to take captive our thoughts, make them obedient. We have to take captive our life, our flesh, put off its desires, not make provisions for us to follow our feelings, but instead force our bodies to seek the Lord. So every single morning I set aside a time to make sure that I get my heart posture right. Everyone, I believe, needs to find their own routine of doing this, but for me, I always start with praise and worship, and I just do meditation. Meditation is literally the practice of forcing your mind to think of something. In this particular situation, we're talking about forcing your mind to think of God. Run through the idea that, man, I'm a human. I don't know how I got here. The universe exists. I don't fully understand it, but someone had to have made it. The earth is perfect. Nature is perfect. It works in unison and harmony. Our bodies, I don't have to think about breathing. I don't have to think about my heart beating. It just happens. My life, in a way, I don't know how, but just things work out in a way that can't be explained. That means that God has to be real. That means that the God who exists has to be the God of Israel, the God of the Bible. That means that the Bible has to be real. That means that the promises he said, that means that the story of Jesus, God himself, the ultimate creator, humbling himself to be a man, living a honestly really tough life and being tortured and dying for the people that actually tortured him and putting him on the cross so that we may have a gift that we don't deserve, that we cannot earn, and that we cannot achieve. Like, you have to run your mind through the truth of the Bible, and you have to seek the Lord. Take your thoughts captive and force them to be obedient, force them to think of Christ. So after I set aside that time every single day, sometimes it's longer because my heart just doesn't want to obey, and I get these doubting thoughts like, maybe God isn't real. Who am I praying to? I don't really want to do this. Like, sometimes it takes longer to get my heart to obey and to think of Christ. But every single time that I seek the Lord, it is fulfilling and it is renewing. And now that I have created that habit, I cannot live without it. Another thing that I do is throughout my day, I just create an atmosphere that is welcoming to the Holy Spirit. I know that naturally, if I don't constantly think about God and I don't have an atmosphere that welcomes the presence of the Holy Spirit, then naturally I'm just not going to think about God. And it's important for me to keep my mind on God at all times, because if I don't, I'm gonna fall into destruction. I'm gonna fall into sin. So some things that I do is I make sure worship music is playing like while I'm working in my office during the day, or I make sure that I have worship music playing while I'm doing simple things like cleaning, or while I'm showering, or have worship music playing in my room. Even if I'm not in my room, I want to make sure that the atmosphere is welcoming to the Lord. And I think that everyone is different. Like, we'll figure out different things that actually work for us to force our minds to think about Christ, to always have an atmosphere that is welcoming to God. Like, there are some days that I'll highlight a specific passage in the Bible that God revealed his truth to me when I studied it in the morning, and I'll lay it out on my counter so that every time I pass it, whether I'm leaving or coming back, I'll see that Bible and think about the revelation that I received that morning. There are so many different practices, but this is about building a relationship. And in the same way, like, if you are about to have someone over at your house, You prep your house, you clean up, you get it ready to receive that person. We need to also make our atmospheres, whether we're at work, whether we're in our car, whether we're in the bathroom, wherever it is, create an atmosphere that is welcoming to God. And another thing that has really helped me to stay consistent with God is just understanding the self-control I need according to my struggles. Now, the main point of the video is to tell you how I stay consistent with God. These are my practices. You may learn something, you may find that none of these things work for you. We all have to grow our personal relationship with Christ, but I do believe part of that is understanding the things that you struggle with. Me, particularly, I'll be fully transparent. I struggle with lust, and a lot of that is triggered by scrolling on social media or being in an environment where it's easier for me to fall into masturbation or watch pornography. So a commitment I've made to myself is that I don't go in my room and I don't lay down with my phone. Anytime that I'm going in my room, I'm going to sleep, whatever it is, I can do my scrolling here in my living room, on the couch. I can do it in my office, a place that I have dedicated to the Lord, and I have committed. I will not partake in that sin in my office because that is sanctified. That office is for the Lord. Anytime that I'm about to go in my room, I plug my phone up outside the room and then I go in my room, and that is where I sleep. Literally, that's it. So understanding the type of self-control and boundaries that you need to set according to the sins that you struggle with is really important. This not only shows your dedication to the Lord, but also it protects you. Because, for example, if you struggle with sexual immorality like me, the Bible tells us to flee from it. Don't fight it. Once you are in your room scrolling on your phone and you're feeling that sensation like, oh man, I just want to do something I know I'm not supposed to do, at that point, the battle is already lost. At that point, it's just your motor functions that are going to indulge in the act of sexual immorality. But if you flee from it and you do not make provisions for the flesh to gratify its desires, as it says in Romans, then you won't even have to fight that fight. You won't feel weak. You won't feel defeated. You won't feel hopeless. You fight this battle by not fighting it at all, by fleeing it. And I'm coming to close here. We need to understand the significance of self-control. Not in the sense that, oh, I don't get mad, I don't lash out, I don't crash out, but self-control in the aspect that you have a spirit that dwells inside of you that needs to take captive your thoughts, your body, your flesh, your words, your deeds, everything needs to take these things and make them obedient. You need to learn to control yourself. Controlling yourself is forcing your body to be obedient to Christ. If we don't have this self-control, if we don't live a proactive faith of doing these things by forcing ourselves to pray, to read our Bible, to fast when needed, to engage in community, to seek accountability, mentorship, to worship, all these, if we don't force ourselves to do these things, we cannot expect the presence of God to just randomly fall on us. We have to show our commitment, be obedient, and welcome God into our lives. At the end of the day, these bodies we live in, they are going to be controlled. It's either going to be controlled by you, meaning you're allowing God to come into your life and control it, or it's going to be controlled by a third party. It's going to be controlled by what you scroll through on social media, what you watch, what you see when you play video games, by your lust, by your struggles. It's going to be controlled by something. So if you aren't actively taking control of yourself, something else is going to. So these are just a few things that I do during my day. There are plenty of other things that I do, other practices. Let me know some things that you have discovered, different practices, patterns, routines, habits that you do on a daily basis that help you stay consistent with God. You never know how that may impact somebody else or even impact me. So go to the comment section below, read other people's interactions with the Lord, see their testimonies, put your prayer requests down below. Let's build a community in the comment section. And also don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that. God first, baby. I love y'all. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.